Well, before NBC2's Patrick Fazio recently went on paternity leave, he put together a follow-up on our nationally award-winning investigation. Here's his exclusive report.
As NBC2 has investigated for the past year and a half, citizens have faced felony charges for recording audio of law enforcement. Now we found an Illinois woman who's actually spent time behind bars because of the state's eavesdropping law. For the first time ever, she's talking about being locked up for recording her conversations with an on-duty law enforcement official.
I was just like, is this really happening to me, you know?
Annabelle Malongo came here to the land of the free in search of a better life. But since moving to Chicago in 2003, the Cameroon native has spent time locked up for something she thought was legal.
I was just asking, what am I doing here? The police officer, everybody, even my jailmate, they were asking me, what have you done?
She had been arrested and charged under the Illinois eavesdropping statute for recording audio of an on-duty law enforcement official. Malongo thought she would be out of jail within a few days until she heard her bond amount.
They told me, your bond is $500,000. And then I said, what?
$500,000. A bond amount that high is usually just reserved for the most violent criminals. But this was for eavesdropping charges. Malongo couldn't afford to bail herself out of jail, so days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months.
I couldn't take it anymore. I was just thinking, oh my God, why don't you just kill me?
Malongo ended up serving more than a year and a half in jail before her eavesdropping charges were dismissed in July by a Cook County judge. It's the fifth court to declare the Illinois eavesdropping statute unconstitutional. Malongo's case began when she tape recorded her conversations with a law enforcement official, the local court reporter's clerk.
Then the state's attorney told your lawyer we re-indicted her, and he found out that day, that morning.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to see. So my lawyer...
You really can't quote me. I mean, Ms. Malongo.
Those recorded conversations took place over the phone. But according to the Illinois eavesdropping statute, it doesn't matter where an audio recording happens. Even if it takes place here in public, it's still considered a felony here in Illinois.
Okay. Then don't you see there's kind of a contradiction?
Oh, no. It's not up for me to see anything.
Malongo posted her audio-taped conversations with the court reporter's clerk on this website. Malongo says she did it to show how she's being framed in her other court case. In that case, Malongo's former employer, the Save a Life Foundation, accused her of destroying financial records. It was right around the time when a media report uncovered fraud with Save a Life, which is an organization that received government funding.
That's why this case became political, because everybody's now hiding.
The Save a Life Foundation has since closed, but Malongo is still fighting to clear her name. She asked the judge to drop the charges during her court hearing in early October. A few weeks later, the judge decided to let her case continue. That case is being prosecuted by Anita Alvarez, the Cook County State's attorney. Alvarez is currently appealing Malongo's eavesdropping case to the Illinois Supreme Court to try to put her back behind bars.
I still had nightmare that I was just waking up in the middle of the night thinking that I'm back in jail.
Her native Cameroon has a long history of corruption, but only in America has Malongo been locked up for recording possible government corruption. We tried to contact the Cook County State's attorney, Anita Alvarez, but her staff repeatedly denied our requests for an interview. So we decided to go visit her office to try to get answers.
Well, before NBC2's Patrick Fazio recently went on paternity leave, he put together follow-up stories on our nationally award-winning investigation. Here's his latest report.
At least one prosecutor is still trying to enforce the Illinois eavesdropping statute, even though 5 courts have now ruled that law is unconstitutional. Appeals have been filed in the Illinois Supreme Court to try to overturn those rulings, and now an appeal is also being made to the U.S. Supreme Court. In the meantime, the law is still on the books, and citizens in Illinois are still at risk.
Oh, believe me, I've lost everything. you can ever imagine.
Annabelle Malongo has nothing left after being locked up in jail for more than a year and a half on eavesdropping charges. While she was behind bars, she lost her job, her car, and all of her possessions.
I don't know, I cannot even explain to you the emotional toll it took on me.
A judge in Chicago threw out the eavesdropping charges against Malongo in July. But now the case is being appealed to the Illinois Supreme Court by the Cook County State's Attorney.
The state prosecutor is adamant to actually find me guilty for this case.
Malongo isn't the only one who Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez has charged with eavesdropping for audio taping law enforcement.
I don't feel like I did anything wrong.
Tawanda Moore was charged with eavesdropping for recording her conversation with police when she filed a complaint.
I think it's something that we can handle without having to go through this process.
Moore's cell phone recorded the investigators trying to persuade her to drop her complaint against an officer who she says groped her.
All you want is to make sure that she doesn't bother you again. I think we can almost guarantee that, given that we're going to be able to speak to his superiors.
For recording that conversation, Moore was put in jail and went on trial last year for eavesdropping. She faced up to 15 years in prison until a jury acquitted her.
Sometimes it makes you think, should I really left it alone for nothing to happen? For nothing at all to happen?
Anita Alvarez also charged Christopher Drew with eavesdropping for audio taping police when they arrested him. A judge later threw out Drew's case. Alvarez appealed to the Illinois Supreme Court, which recently dismissed the appeal since Drew has died.
Our state's attorney here in Cook County has, in the last few years, brought 3 prosecutions against civilians for doing nothing besides making audio recordings.
Adam Schwartz and the ACLU of Illinois have stepped in and sued Anita Alvarez to try to stop any future prosecutions. Earlier this year, the 7th Circuit Federal Appeals Court agreed with the ACLU and ruled the Illinois eavesdropping law is unconstitutional. But that ruling was only a temporary injunction.
We want to get a final injunction, and the state's attorney said, wait, hold on, put this all on ice. We are seeking review from the United States Supreme Court.
That appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court was made a few weeks ago by Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez. She's asking the justices to overturn the Federal Appeals Court ruling. Why is it, do you think, that the state's attorney is fighting this?
You'd have to ask the state's attorney why she is pursuing this matter with such zeal.
We've been trying to talk to State's Attorney Anita Alvarez. We decided to visit her office in downtown Chicago since her staff has denied our interview requests over the past few months. Once we arrived, security guards would not let our camera inside. But Alvarez did give an interview about the Illinois eavesdropping statute back in March.
As a state's attorney, I'm going to enforce the laws that are on the books. That's the law that's on the books.
But since then, Alvarez refused to enforce a law that's on the books, the Illinois statute that bans same-sex marriage.
And the Illinois statutes that deny the issuance of marriage licenses against for same-sex couples violates the Illinois Constitution.
Alvarez won't enforce that law, saying it's unconstitutional. But the Illinois eavesdropping law has been ruled unconstitutional by 5 courts now, yet Alvarez keeps trying to enforce it.
The policy arguments of the state's attorney are really completely lacking in any foundation in reality.
However, the ACLU warns the Illinois eavesdropping statute is still on the books and citizens can still face charges.
Illinoisans have spent months in jail awaiting trial on these charges. So this is no joke.
It was something you could never wish your worst enemy.
Despite being jailed for more than a year and a half on eavesdropping charges, Annabelle Malongo says she would audio tape law enforcement officials again.
If somebody is actually doing something he's not supposed to do, I'm willing to go back to jail and I will do it. I will record it.
She says it's a matter of principle. Besides, she has nothing left to lose. Those appeals by Anita Alvarez are still pending in the Illinois Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court. In the meantime, the Illinois eavesdropping law could be taken off the books by state legislators when they reconvene for their fall veto session.